You're listening to the Savage Lovecast, Dan Savage's sex and relationship show for grown-ups. If you're under 18, get out of here, youngin'.
If you're stuck in a relationship quandary, or if you're looking for sexual harmony, well, there's nothing you can't ask on the Savage Lovecast.
Two quick asks here at the top of the show. First ask is for me. I'm asking if we, on the left, can please stop apologizing for winning gay marriage. Please. I follow this great public historian, Amanda W. Timpson, on Instagram and YouTube. She's at Yesterqueers. I love Amanda. Amanda is great. One of my favorite follows on Instagram. I've learned so much from her. I recommend that you go follow her. And I really do truly hate that the first time I'm mentioning Amanda on my show and mentioning her content is to complain about something she said. And it was just a quick aside, but it's something people on the left, the queer left, feel obligated to say, this snide aside, whenever the fight for marriage equality comes up. Here's how the episode of Yesterqueers, which was about one of the Andrews sisters, the one who was, surprise, a lesbian, begins.
You're probably familiar with the Andrews sisters, or at least their music. But did you know that Maxine Andrews was a lesbian who had to adopt her partner in order to protect the legal status of their relationship? Welcome back to Yesterqueers. My name's Amanda, and I'm a public historian of queer history.
See, I told you Amanda was a public historian of queer history. Would I lie to you? The story she shares is fascinating. Again, go follow Amanda on Instagram or YouTube and watch the whole episode about Maxine Andrews and then binge, do a deep dive through all of Amanda's content. But to sum up quickly the Maxine Andrews story, Maxine fell in love with a woman when her marriage to a man fell apart, and they lived together, Maxine and Linda, as a couple for a decade. And then Maxine had a heart attack, and Linda couldn't come to her bedside or make medical decisions for her. Had Maxine died, Linda could have lost everything she and Maxine had built together because Linda was not Maxine's spouse. And she couldn't be at the time. But there was something Maxine and Linda could do. All right, back to Amanda.
So a friend of theirs suggested a solution that gay couples in the United States have been relying on since the 18th century. Maxine would have to adopt Linda as her daughter, thus granting Linda all of the rights and privileges of being a family member. Not only would she be able to make medical decisions for Maxine if the need arose again, she would also be able to inherit all of their combined assets if Maxine died, something that could be overridden by a legal family member even if Maxine left everything to Linda in her will. There are very good reasons to criticize marriage equality being one of the pillars of the modern gay rights movement.
All right, stop right there. Can we please not do this anymore? There are very good reasons to criticize marriage equality being one of the pillars of the modern gay rights movement. Can we please stop apologizing for winning against all odds and against the opposition of every gay rights organization at the outset? Can we please stop apologizing for winning marriage equality? The right does not apologize for its wins. We on the left need to stop apologizing for this win. Maxine Andrews had that heart attack in 1982. Linda almost lost Maxine. She couldn't go to her bedside, couldn't make medical decisions for her during a crisis. The exact same scene, the same fear, helplessness, and panic would play out in thousands of hospital rooms over the rest of the decade as gay men died in the hundreds of thousands of AIDS. The gay men who started and led the fight for marriage equality had watched gay men get dragged from the bedsides of their dying partners, thrown out of the apartments they'd shared with their partners for decades, be barred from funerals, in some cases not even told where their partners had been buried, to prevent them from even visiting their partners' gravesites privately. Homophobic families did this to their gay sons and their gay sons' partners because they could. The need for the right to marry was made clear to Maxine and Linda by the heart attack that almost killed Maxine, and made clear to gay men by the AIDS virus that killed hundreds of thousands of us, and made clear to the lesbians who were right there with us fighting AIDS, on the barricades and in the trenches and in the hospices. They'd seen what happened to gay couples and immediately joined and would wind up leading the fight for marriage equality. So no more of this throat clearing, this nod to opponents of marriage equality on the queer left who were wrong, especially now, with opponents of marriage equality on the right gearing up to overturn the 2015 Obergefell decision and drag us back to the days when a homophobic parent could have their dying son's partner of 20 years dragged away from his bedside. Windsor and Obergefell were important wins for gays and lesbians and bisexuals, for anyone who might fall in love with someone of the same sex. Shitting on marriage equality and the people who fought for it is an insult to the memories of the hundreds of thousands of men who died alone, gay and bisexual men, because they couldn't marry the person they loved. And if you don't know that, if you don't know that part, if you don't know that's why so many gay men and lesbians got out there in the early 90s to start to fight for marriage equality, then you don't know your history. Okay, here's the other ask, and it's not for me, it's for one of my Magnum subs. This sub's boyfriend is getting a PhD in psychology, and his dissertation is about the mental health benefits of BDSM, the potential mental health benefits of BDSM. Data isn't in yet. And he needs BDSM practitioners, as they say. He needs some kinky motherfuckers to fill out an anonymous survey online to complete his research and get that PhD. So if you are over the age of 18 and you live in the US and you are a kinky motherfucker into BDSM and you want to do your part for science and help out a sub's boyfriend, go to the show notes for this week's episode where you will find a link to the survey. It only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Speaking of kinky motherfuckers, the brand new collection of Hump films, the Hump 2025 Fall Tour, is coming to a theater near you, playing this weekend in San Francisco, Oakland, Minneapolis, Portland, Vancouver, BC, Amsterdam, and other cities. To watch the trailer for Hump's Fall Tour 2025 and to find out when Hump is playing in your town or a town near you and to order tickets, go to humpfilmfest.com. If you're a Magnum sub of the Savage Lovecast, be sure to check your email for a special discount code. All right, coming up on today's show, questions from a woman who enjoys going to sex parties but hates catching colds. Is there a way to go to the party without getting a cold? A middle-aged woman wonders if it's too late for her to pursue her dream job, being a findom. And a gay man who finds porn boring wonders if there's any hope for him. And joining me, a very special guest on this week's Magnum, award-winning porn star, Europe's best bottom, John Thomas, sits down with me. We talk about making ethical porn under late-stage capitalism, straight porn versus gay porn, the problem with jackhammering jackhammerers, the dark art of douching, and more. And John, who is also Europe's most charming bottom, sticks around to help me tackle a couple of listener questions at the end of our interview. We've got tons of great stuff for you on the micro, but if you want John Thomas and all the extras, Savage Love Live, discounted Hump tickets, the full column, and more, become a supporter of the show now at savage.love/subscribe. All right, let's get to that first call.
This episode of the Lovecast is brought to you by the good folks at Squarespace. They make it easy to build a beautiful website, blog, or online store. Head on over to squarespace.com/savage for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code SAVAGE to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
This episode is brought to you by Blueland. Going eco has never been easier. Revolutionary, refillable cleaning essentials, eliminating single-use plastics. Right now, get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/savage. This episode is brought to you by Helix Sleep, the people who made my mattress and the people who are going to make your next mattress. Right now, my listeners get 20% off site-wide. Go to helixsleep.com/savage now.
Hi, I'm calling about my money kink and how to scratch this very intense itch. I know everybody likes money, but it's been an actual sexual fetish for me since I was a teenager. I followed the rules, I got a master's degree, I worked shitty jobs through college, but I always fantasized about sex work. Eventually, in my mid-20s, I did become a stripper and dominatrix, and I loved it until the money fell out of the industry in the early 2000s, and it started feeling degrading, and I quit. I'm now a married, monogamous, stay-at-home mom in my mid-40s. A few years ago, I heard about findom, and I realized that's what my fetish was. I did some online findom work, and I really enjoyed it, but I found the market for over 40 findoms was kind of slim. Some guys like mommy doms, but the findom clientele gravitates more towards young girls. I ran an okay side hustle for a couple of years, but then when Trump won the election and Republicans started promising to crack down on porn, I deleted all of my content and erased my online presence as much as I could. I do really miss it though. My husband is super GGG. He is not at all a sub. He's mostly vanilla with a dominant streak that I totally love and I don't want to sub him. He is in full support of me getting my freak on wherever I want. I find myself bored and turned off by the idea of doming for free though. Unlike many of the women doing findom, I really do get so aroused by the worship and tributes and payments. Tease and denial, roleplay, and cuckolds are my favorite categories. We are also in a tight spot financially, and we could really use more money. So I'd like to get back into findom in some kind of way, but I don't know how to safely do that as a parent of young children in the current political climate. Twitter is a dumpster fire, and I am not going back there. I'm in decent shape for my age, but too old to strip or do faceless porn, and I don't want to do nudity in case my kids stumble across it someday. I really just want cuckolds and subs to worship me and give me money while they listen to my husband railing me on the phone. How does a middle-aged kinkster safely go about finding phone sessions and such these days?
So you're middle-aged and you've always fantasized about sex work. My hunch is, I'm just going to toss this out there, that you may have seen Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts at an impressionable moment during your adolescence. Anyway, no risk, no reward. You have to be able to hang a shingle out there to attract the kind of fin subs and cucks who would pay you good money, hot money, money that would turn you on to be paid in exchange for listening to your husband rail you over the phone. And the place that people do that, the place that findoms attract their clientele is social media. And you can't attract them, you can't pull them if you're not willing to show a little bit of ankle. And that's what seems risky for you right now. You have kids, you worry about the political climate, and they are coming for porn, they are coming for sex workers. That is on the Project 2025 list. They will get to it eventually. Driving sex workers, driving content creators off of a platform like Twitter would be a good way for the Trump administration to punish Elon Musk. So fingers crossed, if you're a sex worker or content creator, that those two bitches patch that relationship up. So there's no way for you to really do this if you can't get at least partly comfortable with the idea of putting some of yourself out there. You know, what somebody who's the fin sub expects, you know, it is a exchange of goods and services, money for goods and services. It is a transactional relationship. And this person that you want to worship and give you money, and you have an advantage in that it legitimately turns you on. There are a lot of people out there who are just faking it for the bucks, that you are legitimately aroused by that, and you can say that, hopefully in a convincing way to potential fin subs that gives you a leg up. But they expect, most fin subs, some attention to be paid. They expect text messages. They expect pictures, some access to you in exchange for the money that they're sending you. I suppose now, with AI, you could create photos, hyper-realistic photos that are not you, and then play yourself on phone calls and in text messages, but put a bunch of pictures out there that are not you. Famously, there are a couple of thirst trap accounts with tens of thousands of followers. I'm thinking of one in particular. Tens of thousands of gay men have been following this, I think, Italian twink who was sharing bits of his life. And then it turned out that this Italian twink did not exist. He was AI and lost a few followers, but not many. So I guess it worked for most of the people following this person, some of whom were giving what they thought was a hot Italian twink money, and it turned out it was God knows who, asking AI to barf up images of this hot Italian twink and leveraging that for cash online. I suppose you could do that. I don't think that's entirely ethical. Some people may see the AI. When you look at the Italian twink's Instagram account, I think it's pretty obvious that the pictures were AI. I think a lot of people out there who were following him, sending him money, were engaged in a little bit of dickful thinking, or they were dick blind when they were doing it. But if you can back up fake images or old images of yourself that you've edited with a good game, with talk, with chatter, with dirty talk, and with this payoff of getting to make a date with a fin sub where they get to listen to you have sex or listen to someone have sex with you, which they're never going to be able to do because they're a pathetic cuck fin sub, blah, blah, blah. You know the patter. I suppose you could make it work that way. But no risk, no reward. And you always, when you do any kind of sex work, I think that involves, I think any kind of sex work at all, including porn, you risk attracting the attentions of people who want to be with you, shower you with affection and praise and money, and then gradually resentment rises in them because they can give you money and look at you and masturbate about you, but they can't have you. And of course, that's the deal. And most people are fine with that deal, but every once in a while, somebody is not fine in the long run with that deal. And the resentment rises in them and they get vindictive and lash out. And it's something you always have to be worried about when you do any kind of sex work, any kind of online sex work, in-person sex work, adult content creation. And I think particularly findom. I think someone can send you a bunch of money. Part of that deal is I feel bad about sending you a bunch of money, that you're abusing me, using me, taking advantage of me, and that's hot. And then post-nut clarity kicks in, and they got to get mad at somebody. And rather than getting mad at themselves, they get mad at you. That is another risk that you should take into account before you put that shingle back up. Good luck.
Hi, Dan, Nancy, and the tech-savvy at-risk youth. I'm calling with a question, I guess, about stories and erotica. Dan, you had mentioned before that this is something that you tend to prefer over porn. And I guess I'm curious if you have any suggestions on where to look, especially for, gay themed, or if you have any suggestions on authors and creators. And I ask this because I'm starting to find a lot of the porn being produced right now just boring. It starts to feel just so repetitive and not very representative of real life or the types of guys you meet in real life. So, yeah, I'm just curious if you have any suggestions in terms of like creators or authors to look into.
I could mention one of my favorites, but I feel like I'm giving away stuff about my own sexual interests. And when I tell on myself, I'm not just telling on myself, I'm telling on my husband, I'm telling on my boyfriend, I'm telling on everyone I've ever had sex with. So I'm reluctant to do this. But there's one I will mention. Stephen Saylor is an author. He's written a bunch of mystery novels, genre novels set in ancient Rome. They are amazing. He also, under the name Aaron Travis, has been writing since the 70s. A lot of really incredible erotic fiction, gay erotic fiction, gay erotica, involving different degrees, different extremes of power exchange. I was raised Catholic. It has an impact. They're really good. And he's a really terrifically talented writer. And these aren't just, 1,500, 2,000 word stories posted on Erotica or Nifty, that many of which are now being generated by AI. These are book length erotica. There is real build in Aaron Travis's work. You might want to start there. If it works for you, might not work for you. Always worked for me. And I'm with you that a lot of porn, a lot of video, that kind of content is boring in a way in that there's no story, there's no stakes, but it is honest. There's a lot of hot adult content creators out there who are doing collabs with other hot adult content creators. And the narrative is basically their lives, their existence, how they came together. Their relationship is authentic. They're not faking it. It's not like a porn studio brought two people together, paid them $500 to fuck each other where they wanted to fuck each other or not. When you look at the collabs that adult content creators are making and sharing now, there's a weird kind of authenticity to them, even though they're 2-3 minutes long and it's just get right to the fucking. But still, I think it has virtues that maybe we don't perceive. And I remember a lot of the porn created in the 70s and 80s, a lot of it straight that I had to watch, where you would sit through the story, the setup to get to the 2 or 3 minutes of fucking. And a lot of people didn't like the stories, didn't like the setup. I always liked the stories. I always liked the setup. A lot of people just wanted to get to that 2 or 3 minutes of fucking. And the marketplace has spoken. Once adult content creators were able to just generate a lot of 2 or 3 minutes of the actual fucking, that is what people went for, purchased, paid for. And so the market has spoken. If you want narrative, if you want stakes, if you want character development, Erotica. If you want to just get to those 2 minutes of fucking that you used to have to sit through the entire movie to get through, or fast forward the entire VHS cassette tape to get to, check out the modern porn adult content creators while you still can.
You guys, the Hump Film Festival is gearing up for fall, and whoo, boy, is it ever a complicated event to run. Thank goodness the website platform we use is Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform designed to help you stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your business, Squarespace gives you everything you need to claim your domain, showcase your offerings with a professional website, grow your brand, and get paid, all in one place. With Squarespace's collection of cutting-edge design tools, anyone, even you, can build a bespoke online presence that perfectly fits your brand or business. Squarespace also offers a complete library of professionally designed and award-winning website templates with options for every use and category. No matter where you start, your website is flexible to what you need, with intuitive drag-and-drop editing, beautiful styling options, unrivaled design effects, on-brand AI content, commerce tools, calendar solutions, and more. They also offer so many back-end features that make running your business or project or film festival work the way you want it to. Fundraising, e-commerce, appointment setting, email campaigns, the list of helpful products goes on and on. You can see how we use Squarespace over at humpfilmfest.com. See? I mean it. Head on over to squarespace.com/savage for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code SAVAGE to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/savage and use the offer code SAVAGE.
Hey Dan, I'm a 54-year-old queer cis man in a big city and an open marriage. About 6 years ago, after 20 years of monogamous marriage, we decided to open up so we could explore sexuality and kinks that we didn't share with each other. Until that time, I was straight, and after opening up and exploring other genders, I realized I'm truly queer. Opening the marriage has been a wonderful, life-changing experience for both of us, despite stepping in the shit a few times, and now we're having a great time on this journey together. Lately, I've begun to realize that the people I'm most physically attracted to are usually androgynous or trans, and I've had some really great short-term relationships with people that fit this description. However, I have one specific desire that I have not fulfilled, to have sex with a pre-op trans woman. All the trans people I've been with were either post-op women or trans men. Now I'd really like to have an experience with a beautiful femme-presenting person with a lovely cock. I've had very little success on dating apps in general. I'm more of the type to meet someone in person and feel the fire build as we talk and flirt face to face. But it's hard to find spaces that have such a specific person in them, so I've been trying the apps again, including Field, and also the trans-specific ones like Fiori and Tammy. Nearly all the matches I've made on these have been scams who want money before a meetup. I get that they might have been burned in the past, and I'm quite willing to pay a sex worker, but how can I avoid the scams? The pay-ahead people will just take the money and ghost. I'm considering trying Tryst, but I'm not sure if I could trust this any more than any other app. Is it any better? Is there a secret trust code I'm supposed to use while chatting? Do you have any better suggestions?
First thing you're going to have to do if you want to get with or attract a trans woman with a penis who loves her penis and is down to have sex with guys who are all about her dick, her girl dick, or stick pussy, as someone once called it in Savage Love a million years ago, is to stop using the term pre-op, because pre-op suggests that a trans woman who has not yet had bottom surgery is not fully a trans woman, isn't who she says she is, or even wants bottom surgery. Not all trans people want bottom surgery. A lot of trans people do everything else and keep the genitals that they were assigned at birth and they were born with because they work. And bottom surgery is incredibly expensive. Not all trans people can afford it, but also it has very high complication rates. And also, some trans people don't want it. Some trans men love their pussies. Some trans women love their dicks. The kind of trans woman that you want to be with is going to need to be the kind of trans woman who loves her dick and loves that some people love her dick, and attention being paid to her dick doesn't induce dysphoria. So stop saying pre-op. That is going to offend a lot of trans people, but it's going to particularly offend the kind of trans woman that you're hoping to meet and get with. And they're out there. There are a lot of people out there, a lot of trans women out there who might want to get with you. Some of them might be sex workers. If you want to get in with sex workers, you can get on the apps. There's the risk of being scammed. There's a risk of sextortion, of being blackmailed. Always a risk. My advice for now is to follow sex workers on social media, sex work rights activists and other people who are sex workers and adult content creators who are trans. They put themselves out there. They hang the shingle. If you follow, if you boost, if you support, if you send a respectful message, if you offer to pay them for their time to have a conversation with you about what it is that you're looking for, and maybe she's what you're looking for, and she would be a good candidate if you wanted to hire a sex worker, adult content creator who's trans. Or maybe she can refer you to someone that she knows who's a better fit for you. There's a lot of camaraderie and goodwill in the sex work community, more than some people expect. Often surprises people how much camaraderie, goodwill, mutual support, mutual aid there is in the sex work community. Kind of woman you're interested in getting with, she's out there. The quickest route is to pay that woman for her time and for her dick. This episode is brought to you by Helix Sleep, makers of the best mattress in the world, also known as my favorite place, my mattress, where I wish I was right now and will be soon. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe collection. That is ours, of course. Terry will accept nothing less than Luxe. The Helix Elite collection, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. To figure out which mattress is right for you, take the Helix Sleep quiz to find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes, and your personalized mattress will be shipped straight to your door free of charge. And with Helix's 100-night sleep trial, you can try out your new mattress, see how your body adjusts, and if you decide it's not the best fit, you are welcome to return it for a full refund. They offer models with memory foam layers to provide optimal pressure relief if you sleep on your side like I do, or models with a more responsive foam to cradle your body for essential support in stomach and back sleeping positions, and other stomach and back positions too. Plus, enhanced cooling features to keep you from overheating at night. Right now, just for my listeners, Helix is offering 20% off site-wide. Go to helixsleep.com/savage. Let them know the Lovecast sent you by going to helixsleep.com/savage. With Helix, better sleep starts now.
Hi, Dan. I'm a Magnum subscriber, and I have a question about ethical porn consumption. So pretty much the only thing that gets me off is the Public Disgrace series on kink.com. I try to watch other stuff sometimes, especially amateur stuff, but I always go back to Public Disgrace. If you know anything about it, you would know that it features some like pretty hardcore content. But Public Disgrace always felt ethical because it's through this, it's through kink.com. It's like a well-known website that you have to pay for. But also the things that the models have to do, it's just like really extreme. So, I don't know, it's just like, I was listening to an interview with one of the actresses, and she was actually from one of my favorite shoots, and she was just talking about how it was such an awful experience, and that sucks. I don't know how to deal with that information, but I imagine that porn sucks in general to make for like most actresses. So, I don't know, I just want to know how to consume porn that I know to be ethical, and I also want to get off.
Joining me to help answer this question, John Thomas, a multi-award-winning porn performer. John has worked as a sexual health advocate and HIV educator all around the world. He's also worked for porn studios, now creates his own content, which he makes available on Just for Fans and OnlyFans at John Thomas XXX. John, thank you so much for coming on the Savage Lovecast. Excited to have you.
Thank you very much, Dan, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So when did you first start making porn? How long have you been a porn performer?
I started making porn for studios in 2019. It honestly was a dream of mine since I was 16 to make porn. But my mum, who was a very liberal person, when she caught me watching porn as a teenager, explained how pornography is very vulnerable people being exploited by bad people. And that was the reason why porn is bad. Watching it was not inherently a bad thing to do, but the poor people involved were really being abused and misused. And I didn't
So
believe
basically, your mom's argument was there was no ethical porn content creation under late stage capitalism.
Absolutely. And yet, I was watching gay porn and I found it really hard to believe that these incredibly attractive people on jet skis and in villas were exploited or having a bad time. So by the time I reached my 30s in 2019, I was like, I'm going to make porn because I want to and for fun. And I also want to prove and demonstrate that porn is something that people do freely, willingly, joyfully. And it's not this sort of dirty, smutty, mucky industry.
Or it doesn't have to be. There are people who do porn because they enjoy it. They do it by their own free choice. And there are people who do porn under economic duress. And as porn consumers, how do you tell the difference between the person who's doing it for the love of it, the joy of it, and the person who's doing it because they feel they have no other options and they might not be having any fun doing it, regardless of how they make themselves appear in the moment when they're being filmed?
Yes, absolutely. And I suppose for me, porn was something I was doing while I was doing my master's degree, and I had a student loan. It wasn't my only source of income, but it became my only source of income and my only job. So although it was still being done willingly, it was because I economically had to do sex work. And there were times when I would make porn when I didn't want to, but I was consenting to filming with someone, to being fucked by someone, but I was not enjoying being fucked by them. I did not want that person to be inside of me, but I was telling myself, I'm being very progressive. Sex work is work. This isn't sex, as it were, right now. And my opinion on that has changed. I think sex is sex, whether it's for work or for pleasure. And consensually going through an experience that you don't enjoy is traumatic. And there are also, experiences that one can have either in porn or outside of it where one is having a sexually traumatic experience that someone else is enjoying instead of you.
Okay, that gets to the heart of this question. Let's talk quickly about kink.com. It's very famous, obviously, kink porn studio. They create a lot of hardcore kink porn, a lot of straight kink porn. They have kink men that does gay kink porn, hardcore BDSM, really intense bondage, pain play. The videos that the caller mentions being particularly into, the Public Disgrace series, involves public humiliation with like pain play and degradation and humiliation, and they're really fucking intense. But what kink.com does, I don't want to call it their shtick, it's like the thing that they innovated with kink porn is they have brief interviews with the performers before the scene is shot, where the performers talk about their expectations, where consent is established, but also it's usually the performers say that these are their kinks and they're excited about what's about to happen. And then they have these interviews after the scene is over where the performers talk about how they feel it went. And generally, like always, it's a positive experience. They're enthusing about what they just went through. And what's interesting about these videos that sort of bookend, the interview videos that bookend kink.com scenes, are they offer a kind of absolution to the viewer. What they say to the viewer is, even though what you just watched was so fucked up and the person was in pain for a while, they wanted this, they enjoyed this, you don't have to feel bad about enjoying this because the performer enjoyed it. It offers a kind of absolution to the viewer of the kink porn. And this caller likes this particular video, which I'm sure is bracketed by interviews with the performer before and after where they said positive things. Now she knows that the performer didn't like it. It wasn't a positive experience. Maybe under economic duress, she said at the end that she enjoyed it. The viewer now knows, this caller now knows that what she thought was ethical, this Public Disgrace video, not as ethical as she may have been led to believe, or the performer feels differently about it now than they did when it was filmed. Can she watch this video again? Do you have any videos out there that were bad times, you had a bad experience, and there are people out there jacking off to what for you was not a great experience? How do you feel about that?
I've never worked for kink.com. I've watched their videos. I've come to them. I've wanted to work for them. I know people who have enjoyed it, people who have and have not enjoyed it. And for the first time early this year, I watched Straight Pornography by kink.com. And I'm someone who I think is if you've watched my porn or you know who I am, you think I'm probably someone that has very extreme sex that many people might not enjoy experiencing, but I love it. But in the context of watching men have very kinky BDSM sex with a woman,
with a woman sub,
I just found it incredibly shocking. And whilst I could imagine myself in her position having a great time, for me witnessing it, I found it really hard to feel comfortable in that moment, which isn't to say that she isn't having a good time, but it just doesn't look fun or nice from the outside to me, and that with all of my various like judgments and prejudices.
You're a gay man. The video wasn't made for you.
No.
Right?
But it was my gay boyfriend who loved it, who showed it to me.
Okay.
But in terms of, I mean, I've had experiences making porn. There's two different examples I'll give. One, I was filming and I asked to stop, and the producer and the top didn't. And
that video is out there, and there are people jacking off to it probably right now.
Yes. I don't think it's one of my best videos. I think it's probably one of the ones that the internet has allowed to die compared to some of the ones that maintain huge popularity. So I sound so big-headed.
You're an award-winning porn star. I don't throw the term porn star around lightly. I've embraced content creator. Everybody who makes porn isn't a porn star. You are legit a porn star. No. So, but how it
I have a porn scene out there which features me non-consensually being fucked by someone else, and I wish that video wasn't out there. And I guess I preferred not to think about it. Like, I guess for me that happened a long time ago. It wasn't an enjoyable experience, and I wish that video wasn't out there. I also have another one filmed slightly more recently where I'm kind of embarrassed because I just think it's a really ugly, shitty video, and I wish it wasn't out there. But because I'm the porn performer and I've been given a one-off fee to make the video, my job is just to turn up, get fucked, and whatever happens to that video beyond that point is out of my control. It can be edited, distributed, advertised in whatever way the company wants to, and it has nothing to do with me. And if it's a huge success for them, I don't get any more benefit from that. I just get the fee I had from the day I turned up.
So this is probably one reason why, and this might bring us to an answer for the caller who asks, how can I find ethical porn that doesn't traumatize the actors? The stuff that you've made that you wish wasn't out there, not good experiences, was stuff you made for studios.
Yes, because I guess pretty much the last few years, my main income and my focus is on making videos for my own fan pages, where you can see much more hardcore stuff than I've made for studios. And
it was all your idea, what's happening in these videos.
My ideas, I was kind of driven by, me lusting after someone or having an idea for something. But crucially, it's also my curation. I have videos I've recorded for my OnlyFans that are not released. Because afterwards I think I really didn't enjoy that experience, or I didn't feel good about it, or I think it just looks bad. I don't want to put that out there. I don't want that visual of me, that experience I had, to be consumable by other people.
Whereas if a studio had made it and had paid you to be in the scene, they have a financial incentive in releasing it, whether you liked it or not. Yeah. Whereas you get to release your own self-created content when you like it. And when you don't like it, when not, you don't have to release it. And so there are content creators, independent content creators out there who may not be making porn that's as elaborate as the public disgrace videos that kink.com produces, caller. But if you go with people who create their own content for OnlyFans or just for fans, if you follow porn performers on social media where porn performers exist and are easily found and followed, you can find your way to porn that might work for you as well as those public disgrace videos work for you. But if the question is how can you know whether everybody in every piece of porn you consume is happy to be in that piece of porn, and you feel ethical conflict and about watching something if you can't know for sure that the performers had a good time and it was a positive experience? Then you can't watch any porn at all. Then you have to read Erotica, because there's no way of guaranteeing that every piece of pornography you watch is going to have somebody in it who didn't regret it at the moment, wasn't doing it for the wrong reasons, economic duress, or doesn't regret it years after the fact. And so If that matters to you, stop watching porn. If it doesn't matter to you, shut the fuck up and watch porn.
And for me, my porn career and my fame came from working with Tim Tales, and some of those videos that exist for me as incredible sexual memories beyond just the film made. And some of them were memories that I don't need to have. They were kind of meh. But it's fine that people are jerking off to it. However, it's guaranteed that anything that I've made and I've released is something that I feel good about. And I think if you're ethically consuming videos on kink.com because you're a subscriber, most likely those performers also have their own social media or fan subscription accounts. And if you think she is doing an amazing job getting abused in whatever situation, you can reach out to her. You could send a message or you could just subscribe. And you can just quietly give them $9.99 a month.
There's a lot more of my conversation with John Thomas on the Magnum version of the Savage Lovecast that you can subscribe to or give as a gift over at savage.love. It's fall, time for a fresh start. If you have kids, maybe they're off to school. Now is a great time with the kids out of the house to get organized with eco-friendly cleaning products to keep your home clean and safe. After trying their products, I recommend Blueland. They're certified safe and clean by the EPA, and they get the job done. Blueland is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and better for the planet, but with the same powerful clean you're used to. The idea is simple. They offer refillable cleaning products with a beautiful cohesive design that looks great on your counter. From cleaning sprays to hand soap, toilet bowl cleaner, and laundry tablets, all Blueland products are made with clean ingredients you can feel good about. Just fill your reusable bottles with water, drop in the tablets, and wait for them to dissolve. You'll never have to grab bulky cleaning supplies on your grocery run again. Bulky cleaning supplies that are heavy, that are mostly water, that have huge carbon footprints from being shipped all over the place. Blueland eliminates all of that. Blueland products are effective and affordable with refill tablets starting at just $2.25. Blueland products are independently tested to perform alongside major brands and are free from dyes, bleach, and harsh chemicals. And Blueland, already trusted in over 1 million homes, including my own. Blueland has a special offer for my listeners right now. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/savage. You won't want to miss this one. Let them know the Lovecast sent you. Blueland.com/savage for 15% off. Again, blueland.com/savage to get 15% off.
Hey, Dan. Straight guy, 50 years old here. Very intrigued about prostate orgasms. Never had one. Wondering what the chances of being able to achieve one are. Like, is it super small, 5% of men can get them? Or if we work at it, which we're definitely doing, do I have a shot?
I'm a prostate orgasm truther. I've never had one. I've never been with anyone who's had one. And the guys that I've spoken to at great length who tell me that they're capable of having one, what they end up describing is enough genital stimulation, direct or indirect, to get them to the point or very near the point of orgasmic inevitability, and then a little prostate slamming or a little more prostate slamming, prostate stimulation probably going on throughout the experience that pushes them over the falls, that pushes them past the point of orgasmic inevitability. So it wasn't just the guy put his dick in a cage and nobody touched his dick and got railed long enough and hard enough and his prostate got beat the fuck up enough that he suddenly came, which is what people think of or invoke or claim that they're capable of doing when they start talking about prostate orgasms. It is possible to milk someone's prostate, to stimulate the prostate and massage the prostate until it fills with prostate fluid, which makes up a large chunk of semen that a man expels when he ejaculates, and get that fluid to sort of drain drool out of the dick. That's not really a prostate orgasm. That's prostate milking, and not all guys can be milked in that way. But the orgasm people are talking about when they talk about prostate-only orgasms, with orgasmic contractions and ejaculation and your cum flying across the room. Yeah, no. Very few men are actually capable of that. And I've had sex with a lot of men, And I think it's not dispositive, but I think it's telling that I've had sex with a lot of men. I've had sex a few times with those guys who are mutants, who don't produce prolactin after their orgasm and can have orgasm after orgasm after orgasm. They come and their erection doesn't go away and they're ready to go again and they can have another orgasm and another one. Those guys are vanishingly rare, and I've encountered 2 in my lifetime. But a guy who could fully ejaculate just from having his prostate punched, slammed, stimulated, vibrated, never encountered a single one. Which is why I'm a prostate orgasm truther. And I think the truth about prostate orgasms is they don't really fucking happen. That said, the one thing I will allow, the one chunk of ground, this very contested ground I will concede, as they say, the biggest sex organ is between your ears. Hard to get your dick in there between somebody's ears. Biggest sex organ. Some people being penetrated, being fucked, the idea of it, the prospect of it, the reality of it in the moment is so hyper arousing that they are on edge, perpetually on edge, that just being fucked puts them to that place of orgasmic inevitability. And maybe there's a little incidental foreplay and penile stimulation of the shaft and the head that can't be avoided, but just the psychological meaning and sexiness, the arousal that just like being the one being penetrated does for them can put them very close to the point of orgasmic inevitability, and then just getting fucked can push them over the edge and they can have an ejaculation. I've seen that, but it doesn't look like the kind of prostate orgasm that people talk about. So wouldn't hurt you, wouldn't kill you to try and try and try, probably provide you with a tremendous amount of pleasure to try and try and try. But in the end, your hand is probably going to end up on your dick in the last few minutes to get you to and past. Say it with me, everybody. The point of orgasmic inevitability. All right, time for listener feedback. First up, a few comments listeners left in the comment threads about last week's show at savage.love. Says Mike, Dan, your comment that the 80-year-old couple shouldn't bother with therapy was some serious ageist BS. This couple is facing a struggle after a multi-decade marriage, and there is no need for them to leave it undiscussed just because they are older. Having watched 4 parents go through their last years losing friends and relatives and becoming increasingly depressed, I can tell you that counseling helped in ways that their children and caretakers couldn't. Shame on you, Dan, for being so dismissive. All right, first, you are right, Mike. I was wrong. I take it back. I think it was the part in the caller's question about his parents needing to work on their relationship in couples counseling that I bumped on because I came to that call after having a work on a relationship conversation with my husband of 30 years that morning. And I was thinking, hey, maybe one day we'll be done working on this and we will just have to live with it. But I concede, Mike, that I was both too flippant and too wrong. Way too wrong. Says Delta 35 to the caller, who's a boyish adult gay man living in New York. Hey, boyish, New York City can be tough and judgy. I was more successful with guys in my late teens in various EU countries than in New York City. Then in my late 20s, I got my pizzerette groove and confident enough for New York City. I'm looking really younger. I got carded, buying lottery tickets into my 40s. As Dan said, enjoy it. It won't last forever. Says Zoftig the Magnificent. For the boyish-looking caller, while comparisons can be odious, sometimes they help reframe. I had a straight male friend who looked significantly younger than his age, and it's a lot harder to get into relationships with women than it is with men if you look like a young man or boy, even when you have, as my friend did, your own place. And finally, says Lee Greenwald, Dan, Max Mosley wasn't Jewish. He was the son of the head of the British League of Fascists in the 1930s, Sir Oswald Mosley, and working something out by being dominated by Nazis, just as his parents were Nazis. Loved the plug for John Ronson's book, though. All right, I get into that mistake. I unpack it at great length in last week's struggle session. I'm going to re-up my recommendation for everyone to read John Ronson's book, So You've Been Publicly Shamed, which I should have clearly reread, or at least the chapter on Max Mosley, before bringing it up on last week's show. We appreciate all your comments. I read all your comments. If you want to leave a comment for me or join the conversation with my listeners, go to savage.love and dive in. But now, Savage Love listeners who left voicemails on our answering machine about last week's show get to have the last word on this week's show.
Hi, Dan. I'm commenting about the dad who was scammed by the findom, and I use scammed in quotation marks. I was quite disappointed because as a sex worker, I truly believe that he has a kink and he wanted to be blackmailed. That is a common kink. I do not believe that he is the victim here. I think that Dom was providing a service to him, that he wanted that to happen, and that the wife is the victim, and he's the perpetrator in this. Even though I'm not a femdom or a findom, I have had guys try to get me to blackmail them. And so I don't agree with your take on this, and I think that they need to make sure that he cannot send this much money to anyone ever again. They need to protect the finances for the sake of the mother.
Hi, Dan. This is in response to the caller who was asking about using a period cup and whether or not to disclose to a new play partner. And I just got to say, about 19 years ago, I took that gamble and lost. It is not a memory I like to replay. It is very cringe. Please save yourself the embarrassment and just talk to them about it. The worst case is they say no, and nobody ends up with blood on them unexpectedly.
This is a listener response call to episode 983 to the caller who wants to last longer with his wife. Dan, you suggest SSRIs. Do they work? Maybe, but with side effects. And pills are a great last resort, but there's so much to try before that. First thing I would tell this caller is to take the pressure off. It sounds like you want your wife to feel satisfied. Can you satisfy her in other ways first? Finger her, eat her out until she's had her fill, and keep going. Get her fully satisfied before you even start. That way the pressure of satisfying her goes away. You also said you're comparing yourself to Mr. Stays Hard and Lasts All Weekend. This is so much more pressure you're putting on yourself. We need to work to reframe towards the pleasure of sex. How good does it feel right now? If you notice you're comparing, bring your awareness back to the woman in front of you and how good it feels. Finally, you want to find the sweet spot of arousal and build your window of tolerance there. If 0 is nothing at all and 10 is the point of orgasmic inevitability, try to find a nice 5 or 6 and stay there. So if you escalate towards 7 or 8, that's when you want to pause, take deep breaths, and relax. Especially relaxing your anus can really help. So you'll need to get down to 5 or 6 again to keep going. If you need to, you can pull out and finger her or eat her out while your dick calms down. Good luck, buddy. You've got this.
And we are going to leave it there. Got a sex question for me, a relationship problem, something you want to beef about? Go to savage.love/askdan to record and upload your question or your comment directly onto our website. Or you can make a voice memo on your very own phone and email us your question by sending it to q@savage.love. Or you can call us at 206-302-2064 and leave us a message on our answering machine. Back by popular demand, ITMFA t-shirts. ITMFA used to stand for Impeach the Motherfucker Already, but we tried that and it didn't work. So now ITMFA stands for Is That Motherfucker Alive? Which is, we can all admit now, the question on all of our minds when we reach for our phones every morning. Get 2 ITMFA t-shirts, one for wearing around town for the conversations it'll start, and one for sleeping in for luck in the morning. Get your ITMFA t-shirts right now at savagelove.shop. Follow me at Blue Sky at Dan Savage. Follow me on Instagram at Dan Savage. If you want to check out John Thomas's smut, go to at John Thomas XXX on Blue Sky OnlyFans and Just for Fans. For everything else John is about, health, travel, personal fitness, you can follow John on Instagram at johneast.fitness. The Savage Lovecast is produced every week by Nancy Hartunian and me and Nancy and the tech-savvy at-risk youth. We will all be back at you next week, another installment of the Savage Lovecast. Thank you for downloading, and please, no more apologizing for the marriage equality win. You've got a marriage equality win to defend.